in Davidson, Crooks with the courtside spin, breaking down the stars, the grind, the crown. Fast breaks got the whole game locked down. WNBA battles, NBA lights, college rivalries, tournament nights, FIBA, Olympics, summer league shake. If it's hoops, we got it. Fast break. This is fast break with Davidson, Crooks, and Dentarius, Locke, IE Sports Radio. And direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go.
See, here we go. What's good, everybody? What's good? What's good? What's good? Of another broadcast here on Fast Break here for live for iSports Radio, you're ready for all sports. Thank you for joining in with us here tonight. Coming a little bit behind, but I think tonight's broadcast is we got to talk about it. All things LeBron, all things, everything, his signing, what that means for the NBA, his legacy, the 76ers, the Eastern Conference, hell, even the Lakers. Because it seemed like what they did in the offseason kind of seemed like a perfect fit for LeBron to kind of stay, but he did not want to stay. He was unhappy there for the past couple of years. And now he's back in the Eastern Conference, but in a different uniform. A lot of people assume that he will go home, per se. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long journey throughout this off season, and these big signings that we've seen. Obviously, one of the biggest stars we wanted to see was Giannis getting moved and where he was going, and that was a big move until obviously seeing more of other pieces getting signed, but obviously one LeBron being one of them. So interesting off season, but I think it was something that we needed.
Yeah, it's been an interesting offseason. It's
Mhm.
in a lot of moving and shaking, a lot of teams making moves, a lot of teams, trying to compete with the Knicks, who just won the NBA championship, trying to compete with OKC, who's going to be around for at least the next couple of years at the top, and looking out for the new threat of the San Antonio Spurs, who seem like they could be in contention for a very long time, barring health concerns, all that good stuff. So we're going to talk about a lot of things, break down everything about LeBron, all that good stuff. So we're going to talk heavy LeBron tonight. This is LeBron special. It's going to be not like a true glazing, but but we're going to talk about it. All right, we're going to talk about it. But we're going to get rock and roll on D-Lock. LeBron James chooses Philly. LeBron James, the core takeaway. LeBron James signed a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers, calling it his last decision and choosing Philly for one final championship push. D-Lock, when the news broke with this signing and him choosing Philly, what was your first initial reactions?
Like I said, I think the biggest thing is I was kind of a little surprised, but not really. Obviously, we all, I'm pretty sure, probably 95% of the world thought he was going to be in Cleveland. Now, we thought that he'll probably go back in his career in Cleveland, and that didn't happen like that. I think the biggest thing for me is knowing that I thought it was going to be maybe 1 year, but it seemed like obviously 2-year deal. We want to see how that's going to play out. My biggest thing is, I think when Philly went and got Jaylen Brown or traded for Jaylen Brown, that made him a big play, right? At first, we probably were talking about maybe Golden State, Minnesota, maybe Miami and Cleveland. So, we were all talking about the East teams. He's got a big chance to be in the East, and we were thinking that. But to me, I think Cleveland was probably the first team that everybody was thinking. Now Miami did go get Giannis, so we were thinking, okay, maybe he pairs up with Giannis and Bam in Miami. But he's had a great run in Miami already. And I think that probably played a decision, played a big part in the role of him choosing
Hmm.
Philly because he's had a good run in Cleveland already. He's had a good run in Miami. So he's already, established and did what he did. Now he wants to make that stamp somewhere else. So to me, I think overall it was a bit of a shocker, but they're not really, especially after seeing what Philly did going to get Jalen Brown. Um, that team was already kind of, in a sense, put together. And I mean, now you want to see what happens with this roster that they have. They're still adding pieces, but I think it was a pretty solid move. And see where we go from there.
I think for me, my first initial reaction is like, wow. Wow. And I think once we kind of saw the Jalen Brown move and saw that, I was like, how could it work getting him there? I'm not saying you can go there and then, remember, they said Rich Paul, his vessel said, money is not a factor in going to this final decision. And we saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Your $8 million deal. And money was not a factor. So if money wasn't a factor, I think a lot more teams probably should have maybe trying to put that hat in the ring and see what they can do. But you kind of look at this Philly team, and we discussed before the show, like, man, this small ball lineup possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
With Edgecomb, Maxey, 5-line, LeBron, Jalen Brown, that's deadly right there. Anthony Simons mixed between there, KCP. So those small ball lineups is going to be deadly. Like, I don't think a lot of teams are going to like contain that. Maybe the Knicks, but that's going to be a hard thing to contain if you're these teams around the league. But I first saw, I was like, damn. And only 2 years though. I mean, in the 2 years, I think makes sense because I think he's gonna get the year 25 and call it quits.
Mm.
I know this report saying that he thought about retirement after the Lakers this past season, but I thought, just kind of looking at the context and things, stuff like that, it's like, with him, I know he wants to go out with a blaze of glory in a sense, if that makes sense. He wants that serenation, all that stuff. So why not just make it to 25 and then call it a career?
Right.
That last tour around the league in year 25, going against the Knicks and playing your last game at Madison Square Garden, the heavy press for that in year 25. Playing against in the Garden in Boston, year 25. Playing against Miami, where you probably had some of your best years down there. Playing that last game in Cleveland. Where you had your start of your career, your NBA career. All these possibilities. And then, of course, the game in LA against the Lakers. How they're going to be. All that good stuff. So it's just like, the possibilities, the fit. I do got 2 questions, though. We'll dive into Nick Nurse and Joel Embiid. How are they going to handle these expectations with LeBron and his possibly his last 2 years? How are they going to handle that?
It's going to be tough on them. I think so with Embiid, right? He was part of that Olympic team that won that championship, right? Um, Nick Nurse has been a NBA Finals champ, so I think that they have the opportunity to do it. But I think the pressure was already on going to get Paul George. When you had that team last year, the pressure was there. Um, Now you move on from him, and then boom, you go get Jaylen Brown. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? Now the pressure's really on because we're talking about NBA Finals MVP. Somebody that is a game changer. We've seen what kind of season he had. Rightfully so, I would say the season he had was a NBA. It was an MVP type season, right? He was quoted off saying this is one of his better seasons. So he had an MVP type season. Cool. So now you got him, and the pressure's already on then, and now you go get arguably one of the greatest players of all time on your team who looks really good at 40, 41, who can still ball. So the pressure is going to be there. Now it's about, like you said, the decision that these two make. The one I feel like is going to have the most pressure is Joel Embiid. He's not an NBA Finals champ, right? We talk about it before. This is something that he has to be able to rely on, and he has to be a person that can be relied on. I've said it multiple times, right? I've said multiple times on this podcast. Every time we talk about Philly, I always talked about the fact that people blame Ben Simmons for them not getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. That was years ago. They've had multiple different teams since then. Multiple.
Mm-hmm.
The one person that has been on every team since then is one Joel Embiid. He's still here. Now, in my opinion, outside of that team that won the Olympic gold, this is the best team that Joel Embiid has been on.
Yes.
There's literally everything on this team that he needs. Now, last year before, he took some time off games. Uh, and that's with those teams. Now, does he do that this year? I think the captain and the leadership that LeBron brings, I don't think we see that as often. I think what we see is him being more active and playing more games because LeBron knows how important it is. Um, so to me, as important as Nurse is as a coach, I think you're bringing a player who's also a coach as well, and one LeBron James. So to me, um, I think this is the news that shocked the world, sports world. Um, I wouldn't thought I would see LeBron in the Philly jersey, but now, now this is where Joel Embiid has to do everything in his power to be healthy. Simple. He has to be 100%, as close as he can. Um, so how do they deal with this expectation? I think they deal with it kind of more motivated, but also I think a person that's gonna motivate them and keep them doing the thing they need to is one LeBron James, because you're not just bringing in a very good player, but you're bringing somebody that's very knowledgeable about the game as well. You know, he's the coach that's actually on the court. So to me, I think that not only signing him was a big deal for the team, but mainly for the two that lead this team, and that's Nurse and Joel Embiid.
I won't look at this. I won't say it like this. I won't say for Nick Nurse. I think this is kind of similar in a situation to Mike Brown when he's with the Lakers. If some of y'all don't remember, when Mike Brown was with the Lakers, I think was that the second or third year, I believe, that he got let go after 5 games.
Mm.
If you remember that, if y'all remember, right? That I think that same year they brought in Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, all that, and they let Mike go after 5 games, and they brought in Mike D'Antoni. And you know, if y'all remember, Dr. Buss was on his deathbed, basically in hospice, and you know, after that, the Lakers just kind of after that.
Right.
I think Nick Nurse is kind of that same spot. Like if they get off to a bad start, slow start, whatever, you know, I kind of wonder. And I looked at the coaching roster earlier. It's like I don't see nobody in house that can take over and maybe do better. I'm not really familiar with these guys,
Mm-hmm.
and you never coach out there that can take over. You know, that's available. I really don't know, to be honest with you. You know, Ty Lue, he's with the Clippers. You know, D'Antoni, I don't think he's really coaching like that anymore. Steve Nash, you know, I think after his stint with the Nets, I think he's done coaching. Never say never, but you know, so for Nick Nurse, I think it's a lot of pressure for him. And I've just kind of seen in the parallels with this move, getting LeBron, getting Jaylen Brown. Then on the other side of things, you know, your continued development of second-year player VJ Edgecomb,
Mm-hmm.
your rookie from Alabama, Lebron James, and then your continuing growth for Tyrese Maxey.
Correct.
So there's a lot of pressure for Nick Nurse this year. I mean, going to next season to kind of figure all these pieces out. And on top of that, D-Lock, Joel Embiid.
That dude.
Like, what's his status? How he's feeling? Because if they try to make a title run, then he's got to be available. If you want home court advantage for the playoffs, dog, I need you at least for 60 games.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see what home court did for the Knicks for the most part in the Eastern Conference. Especially when Detroit got knocked out. We can see what it do in Boston. We can see what it do in Cleveland. So if you're Joel Embiid, you're under a lot of pressure to play despite whatever you're going through at certain points in the season. You got to show up.
No choice.
Like, you got no choice. I mean, I'm saying you don't have a choice, but dog, the past 2 weeks, D-Lock, I've been saying that even if LeBron signs there, I still say Joel Embiid, they still got so high on Joel Embiid. That's just my take. You guys, he's one of the best players when he's on the court. We ain't denying that. And when motivated. But if you want to see this thing through and potentially win the championship, which I think they can with this core group, with this group, I think you got so high in Embiid. Now, who you can sell him high to, I haven't really had a chance. I mean, I played around, looked around. Sabonis, if you can find a way with that deal with Sacramento,
Yeah.
and you're not asking him to do a lot, just stay healthy, rebound, get your garbage points. That's it. But if Joel Embiid is good to go, then don't make the move.
Yeah. I
If
agree
he's
with
good to
that.
go, but it's just like we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah. It's up in the air. It's a question. Which is something I don't think LeBron is going to be uh, fine with. Now, I think him going there, that probably was one of the decisions that he had to pay attention to. Like, okay, what is the situation with Joel Embiid? Now, we haven't heard anything from Joel Embiid about this signing. We've heard from other players, but not Embiid. So that does leave a question of, do they plan on moving on from him? Or what can happen? Like you said, Sabonis is a good option. Do we still see Anthony Davis possibly getting moved? So, to me, I'm with you with that. You got to have somebody like uh Embiid to be at least 75, 80%, because 60 games is a lot for what we know from um him. He doesn't play that often. Recently he hasn't. So, and that's my thing. Like, now that they actually have uh LeBron over there and they got all these expectations. Hell, last year we barely seen him play. And that's with the team that he had last year.
Yeah,
I think this team is a hell of a lot more talented. So does he still have that same approach? Um, but I think LeBron comes in and plays a huge part in the health. But to me, still can he be healthy enough, like you said? Because it's going to be very important. Uh, he's going to be that key piece. So when they can go to small ball, it can make a benefit when he's back on the court, right? You give him that break when he needs it, but you got the guys that you can sub in when Embiid is not there. So to me, I really, really am thinking, if, like I said, I just, it depends on what Embiid brings and how he operates. If he can be his best self, then you have somebody that can definitely help this team that's already talented. But it just depends on, what does he bring? How can he operate? Now I think, from unlike the past, like, I think Philly was kind of leaning on a little bit more of Embiid's play, right? We
hmm
didn't know what too much with Paul George. Paul George was suspended. To be honest, we knew Tyrese Maxey was going to be good, but we didn't know as good. The question was a little bit up in the air on Edgecomb because he was a rookie. Um, but now with this team, I don't think they're really relying so much on Embiid to be this all-star. So, and I'm pretty sure that's something that he knows and he understands. So because of that, does he move different? So that's how I said it. That is one big major question. But again, I don't think LeBron is I think when you bring in somebody like a LeBron, he's gonna have the expectations of the players doing what they need to win a championship. And I think with any player, if he sees they're not on that same task, he possibly can get moved around. Obviously, KCP getting bought out and going to Philly, we know what KCP is about, right? LeBron know what KCP is about. So that's the reason why that move was made, because he's putting pieces around him so he can go get that fifth ring, and maybe six if they go back to back, if that's what they're shooting for. So you want to put the pieces around you to where you can be most successful. But not only you want to do that, but you're also going to move away from pieces that are not going to help you. So to me, I think you have a good group, including Embiid, but if things are not going how is expected, what somebody like LeBron expects, somebody could be moved, and MB could be one of them.
I think, yeah, it's just like I'm looking at the roster around. Embiid for next year, we're making 57, well, basically $58 million. Like him and Jalen Brown got the same salary. So you're talking about $58 million a piece right there. Maxey, the next player down, $40 million. And then everybody else, Edgecomb still in the rookie deal. Dean Wade on his mid-level deal at $9 million. Simon, $6 million. Then you got LeBron, $5 as well. Round that the big money right there. You still got guys like Dominic Barlow who get time since Embiid will be out. Ariel Huporti, young big man as well. Adeem Bona, who will get extended time as well. So, those guys, those big men I just called out, they'll have time. They'll get time, all that good stuff. To finish up the Embiid part, he's a Hall of Fame player. He'll get in the Hall of Fame.
Without question.
But I just think it's just like one of those guys whose career we it's like we really can't tell it because it had a rough start.
Yeah.
And he's 32 years old. Can he, for the next 2 years, possibly write these 2 years, these chapters, to solidify himself as one of the best bigs we've seen in this decade? Not all time, because I still put a whole bunch of guys way ahead of him. But I think this is his chance for the next 2 years to put his stamp and say, hey, can I make it to the conference finals? Can I get to the NBA's finals at least? And if I get to the NBA finals against whoever, can I show them can I be that dude? Put the injuries beside me, all that stuff. I'm going to push through.
Find a way.
Because if he can find a way to stay healthy and whatnot, especially in a playoff push, that will go a long way for his narrative, for the Sixers narrative, LeBron to possibly get that last ring. If that can happen, I think things will be great for his career, all their careers in that perspective. And Nick Nurse's too, because he'll be a 2-time NBA champ as a coach and possibly cement himself as a Hall of Famer. The thing about all the Hall of Famers he is coach, will be coaching now. Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, Joel, Paul George. And now I feel like I'm missing somebody. Kyle Lowry, potentially, yeah.
Van Fleet was on that team in Siakam.
Yeah, Van Fleet, Siakam. I mean, but they're probably looking at those guys maybe like fringe Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
They still got they got a lot of basketball to be written.
Played. Yeah.
OG Anunoby. He was on that Raptors squad, but he was hurt. And then his playoff run with the Knicks, that's gonna push him to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
Like that Knicks starting 5 will get in the Hall of Fame after the run they had. Brunson, Cat, OG, Josh Hart,
Hmm.
and Carl.
Right. Nice little star five. And they can get another one possibly.
And then the fit with the Sixers, LeBron was expected to be starting at power forward along Embiid, Maxie Brown, and Edgecomb. Rich Paul says LeBron becomes the best secondary playmaker in the league of a Maxie's pick and roll game. Let's talk about the basketball part on the court, D-Lock. How do you see this fitting with all the major players and all that stuff? How do you see that this fitting with them, all that? In terms of like ball handling duties, pecking order. How do you see those things happening with this crew?
To be honest, I think that um, to me, the LeBron that we've seen for so many years, we're not going to see as much. You know what I mean? We'll see, you know, averaging 18 and 6 or 18 and 7. But I think the ball handler, I think that part is not going to be there because this team has damn near everything on there, right? Um, I think now what happens is you're going to let the young guys have, you know, most of the run with this squad. I think Tyrese Maxey is going to be Tyrese Maxey. I think Jalen Brown is going to be, Jalen Brown. These are the guys that are gonna run this team. You know, I think LeBron is going to be that one that gets this is his chance to play off ball more. We've seen it more last year with Luke and Reeves or with those two, but I think now you're going to see more of it and actually possibly could be a possible better duo with Jalen Brown and Tyrese Maxey. Um, Edgecomb, yes, I think he's still developing who he's going to be in the league, but I think Maxey and Jalen Brown have already are proven, for years. So to me, you're going to see those guys lead this offense for the most part. Like you said, a small ball is a big chance, um, a big thing that we'll see with this roster. To me, I really like the fact that you're gonna get a chance to see LeBron not have to do as much, um, kind of like with the Olympic team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge role, and we haven't seen it that much. So to me, it's not a bad thing. It's just now you're gonna expect these other guys to get the job done, right? They're gonna be the ball handlers. They're gonna be the one and be clearly a rebound king. It's just going to be things that you're expecting from him. Do we see him be in the best shape of his life? Hopefully this year is possible. So to me, I think this is a very good fit for somebody like a LeBron. It's also a very good fit for Jalen Brown as well. You know, you got guys who can be ball handlers, but now they're not expected to do so much. I seen somebody say they made a comparison of LeBron going to Philly is like Tom Brady going to Tampa, right?
Mm.
You have one of the greatest of all time, and what's going to happen now is you're putting him with a very good group. Tom Brady had Mike Evans. Now Vegas he did bring Gronk with him, but you had Gronk. You had Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You had all these good guys that these 1,000+ receivers, and possibly a 1,000+ tight end, you had the weapons around you. Now obviously he was the quarterback and made it a hell of a lot easier. He still had to do the work, and then he had a very good defense. So you can make that comparison now with the Sixers, right? You got a hell of a scorer, a good player in Tyrese Maxey. You got a former NBA MVP in Joel Embiid when healthy, right? You got Jalen Brown who came off a stud season and was a Finals MVP. So around these pieces with LeBron doesn't need to do as much. What he brings is the same thing that Tom Brady brought to the game for the Bucks at that time, which is my team. Is he brought the mental, the leadership. He brought the smartness that he had in the game, right? That's the same thing that LeBron is bringing. He's bringing the leadership. He's bringing how smart he is. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that you're gonna need for this team. So to me, I think that's where it's gonna fit. You know, you got a good team, good young team prior to him being there, but he's gonna bring a little bit of efficiency, but the smart, the leadership, the when you need a few plays at the end of the game, you need a defensive stop. These are the things I think LeBron is gonna bring in. You talk about who's to be the ball handler. Now you got another ball handler, LeBron, who can know exactly what's going on and put them in the best position. And you got all stars all around you. Um, so to me, I think this is a great move. This is one of those moves you see on playing the game on 2K, right? You put your team together and you make the best all-star team together and you go through a season with them. I think you see that now. But my thing is now is, obviously what the biggest thing is health.
Mm-hmm.
Have to stay healthy. And that's something that both Nick Nurse and the players got to make sure that they do. We already know who already know who has the most injury history on this team. But now we want to make sure that they can stay healthy and go through this season. Like I said, this is one of the better teams we've seen. Talent. I think Patrick Beverly said this is one of the most talented. I think he said this is the most talented team he's ever seen. But they got a lot of pieces on this team, right? Now you put your guys in rotation. You got Anthony Simons on the bench. You got Pylon. Use these guys, right? Um, Make this work and get those guys that you need to get the rest because at the end of the day, it's about the playoffs. That playoff run is what's most important. We've seen Philly look good during the season a lot, and then they get to the playoffs and something changes. So to me now, you made a big move by moving on from Paul George, going to get a younger, better player in Jalen Brown. Now you'll get somebody who's a veteran who is probably the smartest person in the NBA right now, who knows ball, and now you got to measure power forward, and he can play he can be your ball your point guard or your power guard as well. So I think this is going to work perfectly. Um, Trying to think, like I said, if I had to think of what could be a problem,
Yeah.
I just I think it's the injuries. I think that's the biggest thing for me. You know, um, as far as scoring, LeBron is not trying to score like crazy. I think that's done for. That's probably why he made that move to go uh to the Sixers is he's not trying to be that person that scores a ton of points every night. He's trying to contribute, but he's not trying to be the one that they lean on to give them 35 and 10 a night. You know what I mean? They got other guys that can do that. So to me, it's about being healthy and chemistry. I mean, you're gonna need that. I mean, don't get me wrong, as much as we're talking about Philly looking very good, the New York Knicks are gonna be the reigning champs, right? They're still a team to watch out for. So I think it's gonna work out really well. They just gotta stay healthy and LeBron needs to be the smartest. As long as him being the smartest one on the court, I think that's gonna help Philly big time.
I'm curious about the fit. Like I said, we talked before the show. Like that small ball line is gonna be deadly, and
Hmm.
adding guys like Simons and Fallon would help with those ball handling duties as well. So, like you alluded to, like LeBron don't have to handle the ball much, but I mean, when he does handle the ball, you got other guys that can score. You can pass off, pick and roll situations, take them off the dribble. So, like Edgecomb, Maxi, Fallon, Simons, you know, those four guys right there, you can do a lot of pick and roll situation, LeBron and whatnot, and the open looks will be
Hmm.
there. Like if you're Nick Nurse or assistant coach, whatever, you telling VJ Edgecomb, hey man, you better be working on your outside game, work on your shot. You know, Simon
Hmm.
telling him the same thing. Fine line, you telling him the same thing, even though he came from the Alabama system and they shoot a lot of threes. You telling him, hey man, stay ready, work on your game. And even some of the lesser guys, you never know, your opportunity will come up. Stay working on your game because, like, the small ball options is limitless, in my opinion. But the Embiid fit is like it's kind of like it's odd. I'm trying to get my words. It's kind of odd, trying to leave out Embiid, but when he's not here, few or far between. Look what we're discussing. I'm talking about small ball lineups, and I should be talking about the 7-foot center down low.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the pick and roll situation with Embiid popping up up top is gonna be deadly. But can Embiid keep him honest down low?
Yeah.
And I think I think one question with this group is like, there's times when Embiid plays and he's not getting up down the court, we see him hang around the 3-point line. So, this group here, when they get up down the court, can Embiid keep up with these core guys? That's my big question. Is like, can he keep up with these core guys? Get him down the court. Because LeBron's a great outlet guy. Jaylen Brown can get up down the court. I think if you can outlet Jaylen Brown like that and limit his dribbling and all that stuff and handling the ball, that'll be great for the Sixers. I'm not saying Jaylen Brown can handle the ball, but it's like after all some of the guys I named, he's down the pecking order. So, what you mentioned, like LeBron and when I go to this group and when he fit, now you're kind of looking to scope everything. Like, I think maybe this group can hide him better. Like, he's getting close to his mid-40s.
Yeah.
And, we've been doing the show for years. Like, the NBA season is a marathon. If I got all these cats under 25, 26, 20, under 26 or 25 years old, they can handle the ball at different points of the game, or either the first unit or the second unit, it takes them and let me, do my thing at certain key points, whatever, then we're looking good. We're looking good.
Yep.
Let the New York Knicks and let Jalen Brunson tire themselves out. Come April. Let Jason Tatum, Derek White tire themselves out trying to do everything come April. Kay Cunningham and others up in Detroit. Like all these other squads in the East tiring themselves out, and those league guards trying to do everything. And then come April, if I'm LeBron, I'm fresh as it's going to be come playoff time, and then we're really going to get to work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So we're going to put a pause here. On the other side of things, real quick, on the other side of things, we'll come back from break. We'll talk about the Phillies title odds, what this means for the rest of the Eastern Conference. Was Philly the best fit for LeBron? Because he was going through a lot of emotions, as reports say. And also, talk about the Lakers side of things. Did they fumble this at the last hour? I'll explain that when we come up on the other side of things. But this is Fast Break here, live for Sports Radio. You're the week for sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
parade. From the stadium lights to the stadium shade. The clubhouse crews, the on-field MCs. Delicious park food and the summer breeze. Every voice in the game. Catch dirt and diamonds every single week. The California League coverage that you seek. With Larry B and Freddie B running the show. IE Sports Radio is the place to go. From the front office grind to the roar of the crowd, we play it loud. The grind, the game, the minor league life. It's all tonight.
Tune in to Dirt and Diamonds every minor league season for the latest in the California League with Larry B and Freddie B on IE Sports Radio. Keep that dirt flying, and we'll see you next pitch.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning up with here tonight on tonight's broadcast. Special LeBron James Philly special. I am the Crooks process, Davidson Crooks. This is D-Locke. Hope y'all are enjoying the show here on this close to the end of the month of July. The summer's kind of went by pretty quick. You had the World Cup that happened in in North America, which is very exciting to watch. And if you keep up with this network, let me make sure I get the right information here. Our folks that does the Champagne Shenanigans show did an excellent job breaking down each and every game that came through this World Cup season. So shout out to them, Jen, Mike, they did a great job. I was into the World Cup D-Locke. I felt like some teams got cheated at certain points in the World Cup, but in the end, Spain dominated Argentina to win the World Cup. And I think in 2030 is going to be in around Portugal and Spain for 2030. So very exciting over there. Hope they'll be happy about that and treat everybody good on that part. But I read long enough on that. Here on iSports Radio, please subscribe to the X account and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on the road to 1K. We're finally surpassed 500. So if you're new here, subscribe, hit that bell notification wherever we go live here every Sunday, which I think we're going to take a little break here in a little while, but we'll be back here soon. But once we go live every Sunday, you'll see our beautiful faces every Sunday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that bell notification. The road to 1K is upon us. And like I said, follow us on the iSports show account on X and hit the website as well. Also, be on the lookout for the 3-and-out series coming back strong here in the next couple weeks. 8 divisions, 8 days. I think the NFC will be kicking off here first. And then I think the week after will be the AFC. So if you're the NFC, your favorite team is the Los Angeles Rams. Aaron Donald may be coming back.
Yeah, it's very close. Very close. They're talking about it. I know he's very interested into it.
Man, if that happens, man. God dog. Woo! But if you're a Rams fan, hey, you gotta be excited for that. Why not tune in us and get the preview for your team? And we'll break that all down for you. So look out for that series coming out here in the next, well, actually starts tomorrow. So next few days, you'll get the preview series, all that good stuff, including the defending champ Seattle Seahawks. So tune in tomorrow, actually, for the NFC West. So Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals, tough-ass division right there. But ramming on long enough on that, D-Lock. Let's get back to LeBron's here. Couple things here. Why this matters for the NBA, this is LeBron's 24th season. He's taking a massive pay cut. So he's taking a pay cut for $53 million. Now that's in California money. So you got your federal money, and then you got California tax. So
yeah,
I know $50 million not to scoff at, but if you look at the numbers, you know, it's a lot less than that. But he's taking a massive pay cut regardless, going to Philly to chase the ring. The Sixers, what you brought up earlier, the Sixers haven't won a title since '83. So that's Julius Erving, Moses Malone, Mo Cheeks, that crew there that haven't made a conference final since 2001. That's the Allen Iverson. Yeah. That's the Allen Iverson MVP year. Larry Brown, Aaron McKee, Dikembe Mutombo, rest in peace. A young Rajah Bell, Tyrone Hill, those crew guys, Eric Snow. So LeBron expected to change that. So D-Lock, the title odds got Philly jumped from 20-1. And I think that 20-1 was when Jaylen Brown got traded there. Now it's 10-1. Let's do baby steps here. Look, with LeBron in tow, do you see the Sixers making at least the Eastern Conference Finals?
Let me say this first before I answer that. I think that's the expectation, at least. The expectation is at least NBA Finals. Excuse me, NBA Finals. But I would say yes. I think this team was already going to go to the. I think this team had a good chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals after going to get Jalen Brown. Um, Not just because they got him, but because the team that should possibly be in the Eastern Conference Finals, Boston, moved on from him, so they just lost a huge asset to their team. I think Miami's going to be an issue, but we talked about it before with the guard situation. They're going to have to get that fixed up. They did sign Tim Hardaway, but I think they need more pieces that way. The Knicks are guaranteed the Eastern Conference Finals for me. Um, Detroit losing Tobias, I think, is bigger than what we think. Obviously, Cade Cunningham is Cade Cunningham, but I think they still haven't signed Jalen Duren. So let's see what happens with that. Um, they should get there. I mean, I think if they're not the most talented, I'm not. It's tough because you can't disrespect the NBA champs, right? I mean, the NBA final champs, the Knicks. You're not gonna just disrespect them like they're not the best team in the NBA. So to me, right now, I would say that they're, if not the best, the second best team in the East. So they should definitely be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Um, my sleeper is the Chicago Bulls. I think they're going to be good, but I don't think they're nowhere near as good to get to the Eastern Conference Finals yet. Washington, we'll see what happens with Anthony Davis and Trey Young. My team, the Orlando Magic, I think we were in a good spot, but I think the moves that other teams made just had them leapfrog us in that growth stage. Um, you talked about it before about Giannis getting moved. I think we should have been the number one team to try to make a move to go get him to put us in that Eastern Conference Final talk. Um, so to me, I think we're good. I think we don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals between Philly and New York. Cleveland, I think they're pretty solid as well, but I think this team that they moved on and signed Dean Wade as well. I think Cleveland's going to gel very good, but this Philly team is too talented. So I think them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals is damn near a guarantee for me. But to me, my expectation is the NBA Finals for this team.
Hmm. That make the Eastern Conference Finals since 2001. Oh, since that time, Allen Iverson and crew that you know made made the playoffs but never got close to that success again. Then AI gets traded to Denver, and then you just hit the reset with that crew. At that point, Larry Brown was gone. He was in Detroit, and he was making multiple appearances for the Detroit Pistons to the conference finals, making the NBA finals twice. So you Philly, you kind of wish the AI Larry Brown dynamic would have worked better. And probably when we talk about this long drought making the Eastern Conference. And then you had the Andre Iguodala years, Thaddeus Young, those guys, Drew Holiday, Evan Turner, with what's his name, Doug Collins in the mix. So you had that crew. They had a decent success, but then Iguodala got traded, Drew Holiday got traded.
Mm-hmm.
So that crew kind of didn't stay as long as they had. And then after that, you had the other reset, and that's when you had, you know, the trust the process era of Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, the drafting of other guys like Norris Noel, Jaleel Okafor, and stuff like that. And then have all those guys, Joel is the last of the bunch, which is very surprising how he came into the league hurt and hobbled, and he's the last one standing. Ben Simmons is out of the league. Norris Noel is out of the league. Jaleel Okafor, he's hanging around by a thread.
He next out, yeah.
And which I'm surprised he hasn't gone to Europe and dominated, in my opinion. And let's be real, this era of Philly, Joel Embiid and crew, they had their chances. Ben Simmons, not being that dude and not being a guy that doesn't want to take over games, kind of probably cost him his Eastern Conference chance years ago against the Hawks. And he's so hot on him to get James Harden, and we know how that story goes.
Mm-hmm.
The Jimmy Butler in that mix, that crew probably should have made it, but Kawhi Leonard's lucky bounce in that last second shot. When he was on the Raptors, kind of killed that. So they had their chances with this group with Joel Embiid, but they never got close. And this past playoffs, they just got ran out the building by the Knicks. Like they just got ran out the building by the Knicks. With Embiid hurt, Edgecomb kind of not playing his best, Paul George not really playing his best. So now you had the two Finals MVPs in Jaylen Brown and LeBron.
Right.
The second-year growth of Edgecomb, Maxey, All-Star, All-NBA player, and Embiid. And the NBA Finals head coach, Nick Nurse. I know I'm getting long-winded in this, but I had to bring it all to a close from 2001 up to now. And I think, Locke, I know we're 2 months, about 3 months, just about 2.5 months from our preview series, but I got to call my shot now when I got the Yankees and Phillies in front of me. They'll make the Eastern Conference Finals. The Sixers. I think they'll make it despite Joel Embiid not being a big factor. I think the Jaylen Brown move is more of a bigger deal than I think some people are going to realize.
Oh yeah.
Because as I talked about a couple weeks ago, and I think having him in the fold kind of offsets wherever game Joel Embiid is going to miss. That's my take. And get LeBron is just, get LeBron is like if you're at your damn if you're in the vending machine and you're getting, if you I live in the South, but getting like a sun drop can, and then boom, another one falls down after that. Like, oh damn, I got an extra surprise here.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about this. So I got them at least making the Eastern Conference Finals. Against who? I'm gonna wait till October.
That's a good move.
I'm gonna wait till October because the offseason ain't done yet. There could be some other surprises happen.
Yeah.
The Kawhi Leonard situation is still up in the air. And I said on last week's show about the Kawhi Leonard, or not last week, but 2 weeks ago, I said about the Kawhi Leonard situation. I mean, we don't know if he's going to be suspended or not. And that's going, to me, that's going to factor to a lot of things. This is my humble opinion. So I'm going to wait till October and see how things play out for the rest of the training camp and see how things play out.
I think we agree that Philly is gonna make it. The question is who do they play? Like you said, this is a long off season. We'll still see some more moves being made. I honestly think that moves are still being made under the table. Well, not under the table, but behind closed doors, therefore that we don't know. You know, like an Anthony Davis. Draymond hasn't signed anywhere yet. So there's things that still have to be moved around. Jalen Duren hasn't signed. So there's still things that need to be moved around that can, you know, make a team better, make a team worse. You know what I mean? Those kind of things. So, but I think with this team, if I'm being honest, Jalen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, LeBron, Edgecomb, I think those guys are for sure going to be in Philly. You know, I think Embiid as well, but you never know what that. I just think if anybody, I wouldn't be surprised if he was moved on. I don't see it, but I would kind of not be surprised. But I think with this Philly team, I think this is the team that we'll see come opening day. So I can see this team being in in Eastern Conference Finals. It's just about who they match up against. Because when you do make a power move like this or a chess move, as Philly did, now other teams are like, well, damn, we gotta come up and make something. Because to be honest, this is probably the toughest we've seen the East in a long time. In a very long time. Just when we seen Trey Young go to the Wizards and they get Anthony Davis and they got Alex Sarr and they went and got AJ. We're thinking, okay, Washington's gonna be a serious team to watch out for. They could possibly make the playoffs. But now you go see this move, right? Now you go see Philly go get Jalen Brown. Now you go see Caleb Wilson freaking go off in the summer league, right?
That boy,
So
that
now so now it makes you think about um what teams have made the moves and who is going to be those impressive teams. For my Magic, I thought it was a hell of a piece for them to um go get a new coach and start moving in that direction. And as good as that was, now other teams made moves as well, right? We like what Miami did, but also we think they did lose a lot of pieces to get one Giannis. So again, like you said, it plays a huge part. But to me, we're gonna see how it rolls moving forward for the East. But it definitely got a hell of a lot tougher.
before we get to the rest of the Eastern Conference, I got Milagros Dominguez saying LeBron holds the third most finals losses of all time with 6. Number 7 could be coming. Hey, man, I mean, let's be real. I mean, ran to the Warriors teams multiple times. Okay, and especially the ones with KD. I mean, I don't think you were overcoming those guys. I'm not saying you couldn't, but that's a tough battle. Then, you go against the Spurs and you split with them. So you talking about like, well, old man Duncan and Parker, those guys, but you also had like young Kawhi Leonard in the mix as well, and Greg Popovich. And I always said on this show that when Kawhi Leonard's healthy, he's top 10 in the world. Two-way, top 10, easy.
Correct.
So you had that going, Teresa. You know, who else did they lose to? The Mavericks. You know, just like one of those years, and it kind of felt like Dirk's year to win a chip. You know, they sent Phil Jackson packing that year in his last year coaching. The Lakers in a mess. You know, that Laker group was done, and you know, you just kind of capitalized on that. So I mean, I kind of do like, I don't know about you. I just kind of hate, you know, thinking, you know, having, you know, all these bad finals losses is like the worst thing in the world. It's like, to me, okay, you got to the finals multiple times. It's a very hard thing to do. You know, like the Buffalo Bills teams back in the 90s. You know, granted, yeah, they probably should have won a couple, but get to the Super Bowl multiple years in a row, very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Those Patriots teams, very hard to do. You know, your squad, the Buccaneers, y'all won that title. Was it 2001?
2001.
And then after that, I mean, you didn't make it again.
Nope.
Until Brady got there.
Team. 18 years, 18 years. What a good defense.
My squad, shit. Since the turn of the century, they only stepped close to the Super Bowl once. And unfortunately, it came in at a time when Mahomes was at on his rise. We ain't been close since. We've been dog shit. So it's hard to get to these finals appearances, you know, national championship appearances. As an Alabama fan, you know, seeing Alabama always contention, all this stuff. It's hard to get back to those title contentions. Alabama A&M, right here. They ain't been top of the SWAC for a good past 10 years. I would love to see them back on top of the SWAC. It probably won't happen this year. It's hard. Team right here, Alabama men's basketball. They made it to the Final Four the first time in my lifetime a couple years ago. It's hard to get to that point. So, you know, I don't know, Mr. Dominguez, if that's trying to be like a flex or trying to say he lost. Hey, man, he got there multiple times. And you can't say that about a lot. You can't say that about a lot of NBA legends.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of them that would like to get the chance to, you know, experience. Hell, it's a lot of football players the same thing. You know, Dan Fouts I remember hearing about him when I was a kid. And I think when I was a kid, he was commentating. You know what I mean? But they used to say he was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But he hasn't been in them, and he's never been to the Super Bowl. Right? There's multiple players that wish they had that shot. You know what I mean? To go. There's a hell of a lot of players that we see in all sports that we like. Dang, this person was so good. They never got in the ring or got a chance to get one. So I think, you know, like I said, number 7 could be coming. I will probably say on the positive side, you're saying he's going back to the NBA Finals, which would be great. But I think also, and we'll get to that months down the road. We'll talk about our NBA Final predictions. It'd be interesting who they play against, right? Because I think the Sixers are going to be a very tough team. That doesn't mean the East is not tough. I mean, to be honest, and you'll touch on the Lakers. The Lakers did some great moves, in my opinion. Obviously not bringing LeBron was a big piece, but some of the pieces that the moves that they made, I really like. So they're going to be a team to watch out for as well. But the West is still going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, and to put a cap on this comment here, look at all the NBA legends. Like, if some of these NBA legends had multiple chances to go to the finals, they'll probably at least win one. Patrick Ewing, Julius Irving. I know he won one, but like, if Julius made the NBA Finals more. What about Hakeem Olajuwon? I know he won too, but if he got a chance to make the NBA Finals, had more appearances, could he won more? Charles Barkley, David Robinson. I know he won too, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
Who else I can think of? Kevin Garnett, Oscar Robertson, Dirk.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Payton. The list goes on. So if those guys could make if some of those guys, they probably wish they could have that on their resume, or at least make one.
Yeah. They get the chance.
Carmelo Anthony. The what ifs like Derrick Rose. So forth. And going rest of the chat real quick. Marcus Lowe's great saying the biggest opportunities in the NBA. Talking about LeBron. Do you think LeBron's the opportunist doing this?
I think this will definitely have you wonder, because of the situation that he's going in. But I've seen him do a lot with less,
Yeah.
and that's what gets me for him is, I mean, he took that team, that Cavs team, to the NBA Finals his first go around against the Spurs team that's probably going to go down with 4 Hall of Famers on that damn team. So to me, um, him as being a competitor, I'm sure, he's looking at how many rings that Kobe has. He's looking at how many rings that uh, Michael Jordan has, and he wants to have part of that. So to me, I think he's bringing it, and it's to me, it's different with him and Kevin Durant because he's shown being that leader on the team, right? He's won before he got to, I guess, a star-studded team. Won some NBA titles. Now going to Miami, yes, he did go and join D Wade and Chris Bosh, but the more we look at it now, he's still found a way to get it done with less. To be honest, that Laker team was it was a pretty solid team. I don't think that was the best team that he was on, right? I think those Heat teams that he was on was pretty solid. I think the Cavs teams with Kevin Love and Kyrie was pretty stacked. So I mean, now I think he's had less help and did a lot. Um, and now, he's also looking at, he wants to be a competitor. He wants to be competitive. I think the difference between him and Michael Jordan, that standpoint is, I think Michael Jordan was just being an NBA player, right? I think he wanted to go to the NBA Finals, but this man knew that the damn Wizards wasn't going to the NBA Finals. You know what I mean? I think now LeBron does see Philly having that opportunity, and it was a selling point. I mean, he wasn't going to go to the Sacramento Kings to go play. just to go play, right?
Yeah.
That just wasn't going to happen. Um, being a competitor is something that he is, and it plays a huge part. A lot of things that there's a big phrase. The phrase is, "I hate losing more than I love winning." And I think that's what we see in one LeBron and a lot of competitors, but that's what we see is an athlete that hates losing more than he loves winning. And recently, what he got with the Lakers, for whatever reason, different reasons, he played a part, you know, as far as not taking a pay cut and different things, who they signed. Excuse me, the Lakers just wasn't being very competitive in the West, and that hurt. So now, he wants to go somewhere where he can be more competitive. And joining a team like that makes him seem like a very much an opportunist. But I think since we've seen him do less with more, I think this is something that could be very much deserving.
To say LeBron is one of the biggest opportunities in NBA history, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say only because it's like, I don't know. It's it's tough to say because you can say that, but then like at times you feel like he fumbled some opportunities as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like like that first run in Cleveland, not for them not making moves to get Amari Stoudemire or JJ or not want to trade JJ Hickson and stuff like that for whatever reason. That what I'm saying, stuff like that you didn't pull the trigger on or didn't say yay and nay to, probably didn't help the situation. I mean, he took advantage of his opportunities, but I felt like at times he didn't maximize it like he should. That Heat run, granted, they made the finals multiple times, but I felt like some of the moves they made, you didn't maximize it like you should. If you kind of look at it now, some of the moves they made involved in him, like the bad drafting, the bad signings. You signing, guys like Joel Anthony, Mike Miller to these mid-sized deals, and you kind of look at the scope of things, like, ugh. You look back at it now, it's like Mike Miller was broken up, his back hurt at that point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Anthony was not the second coming of Ben Wallace that they hoped for, and you kind of just blow money on him. Some of the bad drafting that you did during that time period when LeBron was there did not help things. Going back to second run in Cleveland, same thing. Some bad drafting, bad signings, stuff like that. Even the Laker run, the bad moves that happened there. Like he always kept you in contention, but it's like sometimes when he put his input in, it could go good, it can go in the middle, or it could go left. The Russell Westbrook thing that kind of really hurt the Lakers. You gave away a lot of your depth, your scoring, stuff like that, and it didn't work out. And that kind of hurt things for the next couple years until you brought guys like Austin Reeves to the fold things, and eventually you got Luka. So to say he's the biggest opportunity in the NBA, yeah, you can say that to a stretch, but it really didn't maximize the more titles than it should have. I know other factors happened. Guys like Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry came on the rise. Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. Those things happened. The rise of Nikola Jokic as well. That kind of factor into things. But to say the biggest opportunities, I think that's a stretch in my humble opinion. Because it's like, yeah, he took advantage of opportunities when he did, but it's like the other comment said, look where we're at. I'll let you have last word.
I mean, I think, like I said, I think him making his move is not just ring chasing, but he's a winner, right? I mean, he's been through a lot of different teams, and let's not forget about a team that he's played against, right? You playing against the Warriors with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. He's watched Kevin Durant sign with the Warriors, and he knew what the hell that was gonna do, right? And knowing that they could have still been competitive, but now Kyrie all of a sudden leaves and goes to Boston. So to me, um, a competitor, they do remember when they win, but guess what? They also remember when they lost. So, he wants to ride off in the sunset, as they say, as the winner. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that plays a huge role in, him making uh, the decisions that he's made moving forward. So to me, I would like to see if he does get 5. That'd be great. I think Philly would go crazy if so. Uh, Especially after seeing what we've seen with New York. But with seeing the Knicks win, that changed a lot. That would make basketball even greater is if seeing the Pistons or the Sixers win a championship. So to me, the opportunist thing is just not for me to say that he is because he's already has won with less. Now this is just a chance for him to add on to that resume, showing the impact that he makes as a player. Um, and he's done it. Now it's just crazy to think that he's literally been in LA for 8 years. Like to me, that just was insane to even think that he was there that long. So the comparison of careers when he was in Cleveland, Miami, Cleveland, and then Lakers, that shows what kind of player he is. He's dominated everywhere he's went, right? We've seen Karl Malone stay in Utah all that damn time and go to LA to try to get a championship. We've seen Gary Payton do the same thing in Seattle, go to championship, not make it, and then go to Miami, right? I think either the Lakers. So it's just these players make these kind of moves. So he's not the first one and won't be the last. We'll see other players do it, but to me, I think his resume and what he's done speaks for itself. He's still going to be one of the greatest players of all time. But if they find a way to win 5, if he finds a way to get to 5 or 6, now the Michael Jordan and LeBron talk kind of evens out a lot more. I think that'll be something that is a question that'll be asked down the road. But I honestly think it was a great move for him because no matter where he go, we know who LeBron is. We know he's not going to go there just to play. He's going to try to win no matter where he goes. So if he would have teamed up with Donovan Mitchell and James Harden and Mobley and Jared Allen, we would be saying the same thing, right? If he would have went to Golden State with Steph Curry and Draymond and Jimmy Butler, we would have said the same thing. If he goes to Miami with Giannis and Bam, you get my drift, right? It would have been the same thing. So to me, this fit was a good fit. And it was the right move. I mean, I did see like he's probably gonna be staying with a New Jersey or something like that, which I actually looked up. New Jersey is about 30 to 40 minutes away from Philly, so it's not too far. In my opinion, to literally be that close is insane. But that's how it is up north. So I think that to me, um, a new chapter for a couple years. Let's see how it pans out.
So yeah, we'll see how it pans out. Before we get out here, D-Lock, and this final question, we'll sprinkle in the Laker talk here. Was Philly LeBron's best fit? Now, according to him and Rich Paul, you have Philly, Miami, Cleveland, Golden State on the radar. I kind of surprised more teams that hop on this. I'm kind of surprised somebody like the San Antonio Spurs, who was looking for a four-man, then kind of kick the tires on it, which I think they did, but they kind of went against it, which I kind of think, you know, if y'all had a LeBron against the Knicks in that finals, y'all probably could have won. Just throwing it out there. Maybe, maybe not. But if y'all had like a four-man like a LeBron out there, that second unit with Luke Cornett, just saying. But anyways, D-Lock, I'll throw it to you. In your opinion, was Philly LeBron's best fit?
I look at Miami and I'm like, Miami they were good with the guys with Giannis and Bam. So I would say that probably was the least best spot in my opinion. The only spot that I can see that probably would have been as good of a spot as this one was Cleveland. I mean, I think you got your guys Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Mobley, Jared Allen. You plug LeBron in at the three. Another ball handler. You know, they got a couple other guys over there. But honestly, because of because of the LeBron that we see now, I think this was the best fit. And the reason why I say that is because we seen LeBron last year. Luke would have his games, Austin Reeves, who missed a lot of time, but it kind of seemed as if they relied on a LeBron to still be the 31-year-old LeBron. We're not going to see that. Though 31, 32, that's not happening. Now, as fans, we would love to. We would still love to see him average 27 and 10 and 3, but that's not the LeBron that we're going to see moving forward, no matter where he goes. So, you go somewhere where they're not expecting you to overly dominate and handle this team, right? This team now, he's not going to be expected to say, okay, well, I need to make sure I have 25 a night, about 6 assists, or 6 rebounds a night. No, now you have a team where Jaylen Brown can have a great night and they're good. Tyrese Maxey can go out there and cook and they're fine. VJ Edgecomb can go out there and have a good game. Hell, LeBron can have one sometimes, but it's not to where, okay, out of 50 to 60 games, we need LeBron to pull us out of the hole. That's not happening. And they're not expecting that. So I think that this was a hell of a spot, especially knowing, like I said, the expectation. All he has to do is come in, give you about 16 to 18 a game, which I think is definitely doable. But you let a lot of them do a lot of that groundwork, and LeBron comes in and shows how smart he is with the game and help them close out some games. Now, come playoff time, I think it'll be different. That's what they're aiming for. This team clearly, I think, is going to make the playoffs no matter what. Now, they can get that number one seed, like you said, it'll play a huge part. But this team in the playoffs, no matter what, is going to be hard to deal with. So to me, I think this fit was perfect out of all of them, in my opinion.
For me, was it his best fit? I don't know, man. It's hard to say. If you look at the final teams, let's go in the pecking order. Miami, yes, playing with Giannis, yes, playing with Bam will be great, all that stuff, and especially defensively, all that. But just look at that roster. Let me pull it up real quick. Just look at that roster. After you get past Bam, Giannis, Andrew Wiggins, and Bobby Portis, there's a lot of questions, and especially in that backcourt. Yeah, they signed Tim Hardaway on a nice deal. That's good. Davion Mitchell, solid guard. But LeBron had to do a lot of heavy lifting ball handling. Some of these guys are looking at the roster. I was like, the front court, yeah, cool, but you're doing a lot of heavy lifting on the back court. Then we get to Golden State. Playing with Steph Curry, him and Steph Curry in the same court, deadly. Even at their ages. I will question Draymond because we saw how he went Durant and stuff like that, in which I'm still baffled that Golden State still kept Draymond around after that Durant incident, which you probably could have had Durant in the fold for the rest of his career, and the Jordan Poole incident. For him to survive those two things, he must have pictures of the folks in San Francisco. He must found them in compromising positions or something.
Yeah.
Because God dog. So I know he's cool with Draymond, but I do wonder about the fit if Draymond has a hissy fit and he goes at him.
This is true.
And then of course, Jimmy Butler, how he, that fit, how it's gonna fit, come back with the ACL, all that stuff. Porzingis, he hasn't been able to. He has been able to stay on the court more than Joel Embiid. Embiid been more durable than him, and they re-signed Porzingis. Horford in his 40s as well. So Golden State, if they were fully healthy going to this year, possibility. But just too many questions. What we do in the shooting guard spot. I know you got Brandon Pozinski, and they might give him a big time deal. You drafted Yaxel Lindeborg, who already probably ruffled some feathers already with his press conference and his comments and stuff like that. It's like, dog, just shut up already. So it's just like, I can see it, but then again, it's like, do you want to stay out west and contend against OKC and San Antonio and Jokic? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then bring me to Cleveland. Cleveland is a good place you can hide them, in the sense that you got two young dudes down low. that can do a lot of heavy lifting defensively and all that stuff and rebound and all that. You got Donovan Mitchell can do a lot of ball handling and stuff like that. As well. Let me pull that roster up real quick.
I don't think he's no more. I think
Max Strus, very solid player. Dennis Schroeder, very solid. Sam Merrill, very solid and handling the ball. Jalen Tyson, very up-and-comer, 6-man. Craig Porter, very solid. Tyrese Proctor, very solid. You lost Keon Ellis to the Brooklyn Nets, I believe. But I think the biggest factor was James Harden. Can you depend on him come playoff time? And he has shown time in and time out that I don't think he can come up when need to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at this Philly roster compared to Cleveland, compared to Golden State, compared to Miami, this is the best situation. You got another All-NBA player in Jaylen Brown, another All-NBA player in Joel Embiid when healthy, an All-NBA player in Tyrese Maxey, All-Rookie first team in VJ Edgecomb, Anthony Simons, very capable NBA player. KCP, your former teammate, you know what he can do. Fallon,
yeah,
a high level scorer coming out of Alabama. So you look at everything. The only thing you can really question is the health of Embiid. And is that the only thing you can really question? It's a big question.
Mm-hmm.
But if you factor everybody else, like we've been talking about all show, then this was the best spot. My backcourt is straight. My bench is straight. We got another young dude in his prime of his career. If we get the big man just straight enough, we're cool.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of look at everything like this. This is probably the best fit.
You went to LA, won the championship at a team where that is the expectation. You went to Miami, where the culture is to win. Got that done. You went to Cleveland, where they literally have a 30 for 30 on Cleveland about how Cleveland has not won a championship in all sports. How Cleveland lost their football team to, was it the Baltimore Colts? Am I saying it correctly? I think it was the Baltimore Colts. They had a team, the team left and went to Baltimore.
And became the Ravens in the later night.
Yes. So you won at these. I expect we talk about it. The Yankees, the Cowboys, the Knicks, the Lakers. You went to the high teams and won a championship. You went to Cleveland, who has never won a championship. You knocked that down, and now you're going somewhere where Philly is earning. They want a championship. Now the Eagles have won a championship, right? We've seen them do it a few times, but like you said, since what, 83? Since Maurice Cheeks and those guys and Dr. J, they have not won a championship in more than 30 years. So now he's trying to cross another milestone, and that's what I mean by it's not about him getting the fifth ring. It's about crossing another milestone, right? Right now, me and you are in our mid-30s, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen multiple championships, but when we get in our 80s and 90s, the Philadelphia 76ers have been a team that we will see for multiple years, right? We grew up hearing about The Buffalo Bills have not won a championship. The Cowboys in the 90s. But we grew up also watching the Patriots win multiple championships. We've heard about the Lakers winning championships, right? Philly has not won a championship in more than 30 years. This is something that we tell our kids about if it happens, right? We're going to tell our kids that we've seen the Knicks win the championship, right? So I think that's why I said, again, I know that's kind of off topic of it being the best fit, but I'm kind of trying to put myself in his shoes and what is he's trying to do. He's trying to do something that hasn't been done in damn near 30 years.
Well, hell, I mean, I got baseball in front of me right now, but hell, think about the Cubs.
Yes.
Look how long that was a long damn time.
Yes. You will get remembered forever if you know what I'm saying, if you do that. And what does it do for your legacy? This man was in Cleveland. He went to Miami. They bashed him for it. You went to D-Wade. You went with D-Wade. You went to Miami. You got a championship. Then he leaves. Then he goes to Cleveland to get him a championship. Now he goes to get them a championship, which they have not seen. Then, as we talk about what your team, the Lakers, we know what their expectation is. I said all the time, the Lakers are going to find a way to win a championship. Kobe was there, rest in peace. And they needed to find somebody to come in to keep that legacy going, to continue competing for a championship. He got there and they were competing. He came in there and demanded. I mean, it's just facts. So now he goes somewhere where I've been talking about the most with Joel Embiid is this Philly team has had multiple teams around this guy. Why have they not won? So now he goes in, it's like he's hearing our podcast and what other people are saying. He's going to Philly to change the narrative of what that franchise has done. They have not won a championship in over 30 years. So the fit is the fit, right? I think it's a very good fit. He goes and wins a championship here. I mean, what else is it? And I think that's something that if somebody was to argue who's the best ever, comparing him to Michael Jordan, is Jordan did it at one spot, cool. He sat there, he took a break, which to be honest with you, to take a break and come back and win 3 championships, it just fucking insane. Like the more I watch The Last Dance, the more I think about it, the more I watch it, I'm thinking about how hard that is. But to go do that, that's a very high standard. But that's what LeBron is reaching for. That's what his aim goal is. He wants to be damn near right next to, he want to be above, if not damn near right next to Michael Jordan. And I think the path that he's taking, if it goes as we believe, he could be. Because right now, we talk about it all the time, and we were going to talk about it even before LeBron even got to Philly. This is the best team that Joel Embiid has had.
Yes.
There's no way in hell this man does not find a way to the NBA Finals. There's just no way. I mean, at this point. I know New York Knicks are going to come back with their team, but this Philly team has a NBA Finals MVP on it to it with a NBA MVP. NBA Finals MVP, I'm sorry, and an NBA MVP, and Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid with a rising star in Tyrese Maxey. Now you're adding at least the second greatest player of all time. So to me, as Drake said, what a time to be alive. We've seen a lot of stuff happen. And if this guy wins the NBA Finals in Philly, the question of who's the greatest of all time, now that conversation goes a little bit longer than, let's say that talk is an hour, that debate is an hour, and then you make your decision. I think if he goes win a championship in Philly, I think people revisit that question. Not saying that he will be, but you got somebody resume that's starting to continue to build. And he's doing it at 41, 42. Come on. So, yeah. I'm really hoping to see how this plays out. As much as I want my Magic to go to the NBA, hell, my Magic go to the NBA Finals. Paolo Banchero got to be considered as one of the greatest players, especially during this year coming up. But I really want to see how this pans out for Philly because if they find a way and he gets Joel Embiid to play, as we talked about, 60 games and 61, 60, whatever, and they find a way to the NBA Finals, yeah. The people that's seen Michael Jordan play in the 90s, we got to have a conversation.
And I'll put a bow on this. You know, I said a couple weeks ago, as long as LeBron brought, and I said this in the old Crooks process uh, years ago when he signed with the Lakers, as long as he bring me one, I'm cool.
Right.
And he did that.
And that's a Laker. That's a Lake. Think about that. That's a Laker fan telling you that. Imagine what Philly's saying. A Philly fan is like, just get me to the Eastern Conference Finals and I'm good. A lot of them.
Like you look at Philly sports right now, you know, I got the Phillies and the Yankees in front of me with the Phillies up, you know, it's about 7 right now. I don't have, I can look at their record real quick. Hang on a second. The Phillies, let me check real quick. They're about 6 games behind Atlanta right now in the East.
Okay. I think Bryce Harper's playing pretty good with them right now. He should be.
And they're still in playoff contention, so which I don't think they'll miss the playoffs. But you know, you got them, the Eagles. You know, granted, they made some moves. AJ Brown's gone, but I think they still will be contention.
Mm-hmm.
The Flyers. Let me.
I don't think they did too bad this year, but
I thought they had the standings in there. Hold on, let me. The Flyers, I don't know too much about. Trying to make this quick. No, okay. I don't got the record in front of me, but I can't speak on the Flyers. But anyways, I'll put a bow on this before we get out of here. Best fit, and we'll see. And we'll come back later on in the year. We'll talk about this in more depth and along the other teams, stuff like that, and see how they match up and all that, where things are the rosters are nice and settled. But I think it's going to be very fun NBA season come next year. And like you texted me about the schedule and stuff like that, Knicks, Sixers on NBC next season. And I think that number will do damn near. That will do numbers right there. Let's put it that way. Before we end, Locke, how can people find you on social media?
You guys find me at Black Dash 813. Football season is coming up. We'll see what my team looks like. I'm looking at the NFC South, but it's going to be kind of interesting. Let them know that they can find you on the show's page.
You can find me at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. You can find the show's page on X at Fastbreaker ISR. We'll still be tweeting NBA news that has come about and WNBA news that is not toxic and whatnot, and be straight basketball. Because if I talk WNBA, I talk Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, so y'all just come out of woodwork and try and make it non-basketball. I can't do that. So if you're WNBA fans and you wonder why we don't tweet much about it and talk about it, that's why. I discussed that 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. We would do better. But until y'all get y'all's emotions checked, it'll be very limited. But anyways, having said all that, we'll see y'all down the road. Until then, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Let's go! Lace 'em up! Crowd loud! Like snow! This is Fast Break, IE Sports Radio!